Let that set up. Start it off with the first coat of primer. Then top coating. So there's been a lot of debate I've seen on Facebook or all these platforms regarding epoxy primers. Whether to use it before you do your body work or not. So I can talk more about it, but I'll give you the 5-minute quick and easy. So the epoxy is only as good as the brand of epoxy you're using. I've used epoxies where you spray them on, you put the filler over top, you go to sand it, and then the filler just wants to peel back. Well, that's no good because you've got a delaminate, you've got a delamination problem. Now, I focused in on that hood in the booth. It's kind of a green color. Now, I don't know why I can't say the brand, but that was sprayed with epoxy like 25 years ago. The reason being, I didn't know when I was going to get back to it again, and I had it stripped to bare steel, so I had to put something on it. So why not put epoxy? So right off the get-go, I'm not saying you can't put filler to bare steel, because yes, you can. It's been done for 1,000 years. Usually when there's a problem, it's because the metal wasn't prepped properly. And by prep properly, I mean clean, grease-free, at a reasonable temperature. And let's face it, fillers have come a long way. And usually when there's a problem with fillers, it's because maybe you're putting it on, or maybe your body work, your rough foundation, your substrate, your metal isn't straight enough. So you're putting your Bondo on too thick, and then it's leading to other issues. But the big thing about epoxy is it's just an added layer of protection. It seals the metal, and the filler bites into, if it's a good quality epoxy, the filler is going to bite into that epoxy really good. That green hood in there, I can literally take a red Scotch-Brite and just hardly scuff it and spread filler on it and sand it, and it's like locked. It's like it's chemically locked. I'll maybe even do a demo just to prove it, because there might be some, oh no you can't. I've been doing this for 100 years. There's guys been doing things their whole life and still never get it right. Anyways, yeah, not to get too carried away, but I just wanted to clear up. The other thing too, when I was in the collision world, one of the shops I worked at, everything was epoxy before the bodywork. And the big reason about it, cars that were newer at that time, the metal is like not even half the thickness of this old iron. So you go and grind up that new metal with 80 grit or 36 or 40 grit, whatever the fillers of the time needed. They needed that good mechanical tooth. Well, the fender's already hardly anything left. By the time you grind it and do your work, then it's like paper thin almost. Little bit of exaggeration if your rough out work wasn't good. But the whole point is you can get that metal work straight. You put the epoxy on, and then the filler doesn't need that heavy, coarse tooth. And I haven't heard any. Maybe there's other people explaining. I mean, I watch a lot of the other resto guys on there and other guys on YouTube, and I'm not knocking them, because there's a lot of people doing their thing and it works out and it looks great, like nothing. But there's so much debate about epoxy and all this weird stuff. I even was reading where somebody's saying the body filler is waterproof. They wet sand their body filler. Well, I'm going to tell you, you don't wet sand your body filler, okay? Bondo, or filler. I know Bondo, I'm aging myself, but something like this, you sand it. It's very, after it cures, it's very dry. You sand it, you cut it open. It's like a sponge. It'll suck that moisture in, and it's just going to lead to other issues. So anyways, that's a whole another topic. But at the end of the day, can you put filler over straight metal? Yes, you can. It's recommended. Recommended, not maybe not by some of the experts in the comment section on Facebook and YouTube, but I mean, you just read what it's for. The people who build and engineer the product. I mean, I don't know. Try, you know. I always say follow the manufacturer procedures. You know, like read them. Read the directions, and if that doesn't work, try following them. But probably get some, maybe I'll get some hate. Anyways, whatever. I'm not hating. I'm just trying to clear up and give like straight facts. So filler, yes, can go to clean your clean steel, clean, prepped, clean, degreased, decent temperature. And I know, yes, the Bondo does warm up as it's curing. I mean, then again, how much are you putting on? Sure, if you piled it on an inch thick, yeah, it would warm up pretty good. Or if you're using like a fine strand or long strand fiberglass reinforced filler, yeah, anyone who's used it to fill in a hole back in the day, their first rust spot they're fixing, probably figured out, yeah, this stuff gets warm. But so if somebody asks my opinion, yes, I would prefer to put down an epoxy before the body filler, but only if it's a good quality epoxy. And if it's something that you've never used before, I would say do a test with it. Spray something on a piece of metal, give it a scuff, put some filler on it, and see if it wants to bite in. If you sand it, if you can sand it back and it actually feathers out nice, I don't have to explain that. Everybody knows what I'm talking about there. You're peeling it and just keeps ripping back, then I wouldn't use that product. So find, you know, just say find a good quality epoxy if you're gonna put it down first before your filler. Or if not, if you haven't, and you've just been using filler right to the metal, keep doing what you're doing, because there's lots of cars out there been restored many years ago with putting filler directly to the metal, and no issues. And I will say, try and avoid bridging your filler. And what I mean by that is you've got it feathered down, you've got metal, you've got E-coats, primer, base coats, clear coats, and then you just go on there and goop it all over, sandwich it all over. And there's lots that do it and they say it works and this and that. Have a look at it later on down the road and see if it's still working. I know everyone, I've been doing it again. I've been doing it like this 100 years, and that's fine. But it's all about, it's just like building a house. It's only as good as the foundation. Foundation up, metalwork, bodywork. Then you get into your primer surfacers or high builds, or you know, primers that you sand. I would say the biggest, a lot of issues is people don't finish the bodywork off smooth enough. They're trying to fill in hack marks. Like if you're, I don't care what you're doing. If you're priming over 40 grit or 80 grit, it's going to show up. You could say, oh, it works, and eventually it's going to show up. So if you think otherwise, you're only BSing yourself, or you haven't owned it long enough, or you just can't see good enough to see it. But there again, follow manufacturer recommendations. Best case scenario, try and give your products time to cure. And after you prime a vehicle, if you can let it sit, some guys will let it sit for a few days. They'll just give it a light block just to cut it open, leave it sit for another few weeks for it to fully cure, solvent to get out, gas off, whatever terminology you want to use. There's probably some new term that the younger guys are using today that I'm not aware of, but Anyways, I just wanted to talk a little bit about that. And if there's any more questions about edge primers or primer surfacers or primer sealers, base coats, single stage, whatever I don't do it. I don't do it for a living anymore, but I did in my younger days. I worked in the collision world. I did restoration a long time ago. Now I'm just dabbling in my garage at home. So I've got all the time in the world. I can prime a fender and it might sit for a year before it gets sanded out or whatever the case is. But anyways, not here to offend or make anybody mad, just trying to clear up. Maybe there's some confusion or misinformation. And anyways, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe. I don't even know if you can like. I don't even know if I have that option on my YouTube. I'm still pretty green compared to some of these other channels. But anyways, I appreciate the comments, the feedback, and I appreciate people taking the time out to watch. And we'll have more to come. Thanks for watching.